Hello there. Welcome back to my kitchen knife series. The main there were several main reasons that I wanted to do this series. The first one is that I think kitchen knives are probably the most common knives around. Even people that don't own other knives own a kitchen knife. They're pretty much mandatory to have unless unless you're a bachelor and all you do is eat at McDonald's or someplace like that. Um, but if you're cooking at home, you need at least one good knife anyway. So that was part of it. But also what I wanted to do, if you look here on YouTube, you're going to see a lot of videos that will tell you have to have, really super expensive knives that you have to, everything needs to match, a bunch of stuff like that. You need to spend, you need like a 65 Rockwell hard blade, yada yada. And then the best thing you ought to do is get a Japanese blade, and you don't need all of that. A home cook is not using their knives anywhere extensively unless they are engaged in a hobby where they use the knife extensively, and they're not just cooking to cook for their family and things like that, but they are engaged in a hobby of it, or they have a side business like a catering service or something like that. Then you want to get higher quality knives because you're going to put them to heavier use. But anyway, for the home cook, you don't have to have matching anything. Okay, most home cooks that I know throw their knives in a drawer and nobody sees them. They're not on the counter on a knife block. I don't use a knife block. I have a videos that I'm gonna try to do once I get some place that I can do it at. And I won't go into that, but suffice it to say that my wife does not like the idea of my recording video and putting it on an international platform like YouTube in our kitchen. And I understand that. So I'm going to have to figure something out outside, but I don't want it to look jackleg. It's got to look halfway decent. So I'm trying to figure that out. YouTube is a video platform. The way things look matter. Anyway, so the point of it is that you can buy second-hand knives at flea markets, thrift stores, and places like that, yard sales, garage sales, that will work really well in your kitchen if you're not all persnickety about everything being exactly the same and all of that. You can even get really high-quality knives. I got a Wusthof classic 8-inch chef years ago at a thrift store a flea market for like $6 or $8. Okay, and I used the thing for years alongside my 10-inch until I dropped it on a tile floor, and the temper in it was such that it shattered when it hit that floor. And so I was out that knife. But that's a high-quality professional knife that you will see in the hands of many professional chefs. I paid $6 or $8 for it. So you can even find really high-quality knives for your kitchen if you look long enough. And they cost so little that you can spend a little bit of money to get a basic set that you can use, and then keep looking and upgrade your knives as you see nicer knives available in those places. But a big part of doing this is learning how to sharpen, understanding how to sharpen, and I have videos. That's what this channel, this playlist is about. And if you don't know how to sharpen knives, your kitchen knives, start at the beginning of this channel and watch my videos, and I will teach you everything you need to know to keep your knives razor sharp in your kitchen. Okay? All the information is there. But sometimes you need to be able to do more than sharpen. Sometimes you have to fix stuff and correct stuff. In the 8-inch chef video that I did that kicked off this series, I had to correct a bolster, and I showed you how I did it. Okay? This knife has other problems. This is a 6-inch utility knife. It's a Calphalon. It's not the KitchenAid like the other two knives that I have sharpened on this playlist are. Okay? I do not care what the brand of it is, as long as it's a suitable knife. I don't care that it looks different. The handle on this is different. And honestly, I like this handle a lot. But I like the handle on the other ones that I've got too. They work just fine. Okay? So, I don't care. I just want a good knife that will do the job I need it to do. But if you look at this knife, the edge of this knife, I don't know if I can show it to you or not. But if you look here, here, and up here, let me see if I can. I don't know if that focused or not. But there are chips, pretty good chips in this blade. Now what happened is, and I'll just use the scissors for an example because I have them laying here. This knife was laid in a container full of about 15 or 20 other knives, and every time it was moved, they banged into each other. And that's what damaged this knife pretty much, I'm pretty sure. So there are a couple ways to fix this, and we need to fix this. If you go on knife forums, a lot of them will tell you, well, you do this number here, you're gonna feather the edge. You're gonna do something like this, and then you're gonna bring it down to this angle. Then you're gonna do this right here, and then you're gonna, you're basically what you're doing is you're taking the edge and you're curving it and taking steel off of the edge in a way where you're thinning this edge until you come back to good steel and you've basically already got your bevel done. They say stuff like, well, it wastes less steel that way, yada, yada, yada. Look, it's 6 of one and half a dozen the other. It does not matter how you do it. You have to take all of this steel off of this blade until all of that chip is gone. And then that's it. Then you are going to have to put a bevel in it and sharpen it. And it doesn't matter how you do it, you're still going to have to take off the same amount of metal, because you got to get rid of the damaged section and get down to good steel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a technique called bread knifing. Now, I chose this technique for a couple reasons. First of all, like I said, you're going to have to take it off some way. And this is the simplest way I know. And I like simple a lot. But the other reason is that I have this full bolster here. If I just start grinding away on this blade and taking that metal down, then this bolster is going to stick way up off the edge. I'm going to have a gap when this knife hits the board. And it's going to be uneven. Now, it doesn't matter as much for this knife because it's a utility knife. I'm really not going to be doing a whole lot of this, although you might use this to do stuff like herbs, and like if you wanted to chiffonade basil, or if you wanted to make those little matchsticks, I think they're called brunier. But it's just little, like 16th inch square by 2 inch long matchsticks. People use to garnish stuff, or maybe you have a green onion or something and you really don't want to use your big chef's knife. You can take something like this utility knife and use it like that. Or you can do this number like you would with a Santoku or Santuco, or just some chefs, you know, that's for certain things, that's the way they like to chop. They like to do is chop. Okay, I'm more of a rocker. I do chop sometimes, but I'm more of the European style of cooking. So I need to remove that bolster at the same rate at which I remove that steel. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm lefty, so I'm going to turn this stone this way. I have here a 140 grit Atoma diamond plate. I chose it because I need to remove a lot of freaking steel quickly. I could do it with a coarse crystalline, or the medium crystalline, or a medium India. I could even do it with my fine. But why wear those stones when I can do it rapidly with this with no issues? And so what I'm going to do, I have some cheap window cleaner. I like this on diamond plates. I'm going to lay this knife on the stone like this. And you see I'm taking, I don't know if you can, I'm coming I'm abrading that heel just as quickly as I'm abrading this steel. So and I am using a small amount of pressure on this because I want to get this done. I don't want to horse around with it or pussyfoot around with it. I'm going to go off the edge so that my hands will clear, my knuckles will clear this stone easier. And I'm just going to now that knife is flipping super dull right now. That's all right. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down like this, and I'm going to lift up. Because I want that heel to tilt back a bit. I want it out of the flipping way of the work that I'm going to be doing. Got a bit of a burr, so I'm gonna pull that back because I just want it out of the way so that I can see what's going on with the edge of the blade. Headset, magnifying headset, cheapo, works just fine. When I get down to where I can't see with the naked eye any of these chips anymore, I'm going to put that headset on and I'm going to look at it with that under magnification and make sure I get rid of every last trace of that. So we're going to go to town on this steel, on this knife. And what I'm doing is I'm keeping the flow of this shape. Just getting close. And I also want to pull that burr away from time to time, because that burr will hide those chips in the blade. When it curls up over to this side, it'll curl up over, it'll hide them, and you'll think you're done, and you're not. And I'm gonna work on that bolster again a little bit, because I've been grinding flat. So I want to what I'm doing now is I have all of the chip that was up here. I'm going to look through my magnifying glass and make sure. All of the chip, let me pull that burr back again. All of the chip that was up here is gone now. I have good steel, so I don't really need to grind that as much. So I'm going to concentrate more on this section of the blade now, but every now and then I'm going to pull a couple of lines along this whole curve, because what I don't want is to create a flat spot or stop transition between these and create basically two curves in the bevel. You see what I'm doing now? There's a purpose in it. Now with the naked eye, I can see that I still, if I move that knife, I don't know if you can see, but if I move that knife until the light glints off of that edge, I can see here and here. I don't know if you can. There's a little bit of glinting. That means that that's not completely gone yet. Now, honestly, I could probably sharpen that out of the blade, but I'm gonna continue to grind until that has gone away. And notice I am laying the bolster on the stone too, so that this is abraded at the same rate, or as close to the same rate as possible as this is. And I'm going to take my magnification. I'm going to pull the burr off of it. I'm going to feel along it because this is flat now. It's dull. And there's just a little bit left. I'm going to hit that. I can't feel it with my hand. I can just see it. And that I'm going to call good enough. I'm going to pull the burr off of both sides. I'm going to, you see now, so that I've grinded on that bolster and it's flat like the rest of the knife, right? Well, we don't want that. What we want to do is we want to lay this on the stone and just tilt it up a bit. You have to understand, you're grinding a lot of thick bolster. So it's going to take more than a few swipes to do that. And now I don't know if you can see it. I can. But the bolster is sort of leaning back. But I want it a little bit better than that, so I'm going to tilt it up some more. See the angle? Alright, that's good enough. Now, what you can do and what I'm going to do it's kind of sort of, it's not completely rounded, but it's a lot better than it was. And I'll clean that up with some fine sandpaper and probably lapping film until I get a polish that is close to that. I'll do that off camera. Let me set this down now. I don't really need it. And now, what we need to do is recut a bevel. So, This is not sharpening. This is recutting a bevel. So what we're going to do, I'm going to find that angle. Have to be careful. This knife flexes. So if you're going to grind on it, you can't use a crap ton of pressure. You'll screw up the bevel. And I'm going to feel the edge with my finger because I'm looking for sharp. And I've got my hand more here because remember I said the knife flexes? Doesn't flex much, but it does. And even if I use light pressure, it's liable to flex. So I'm going to put my fingers here on the weakest part of the blade, the thinnest part. If you look at this knife, it has what's known as a distal taper. It's thicker here than here. In a cook's knife of any kind, or even a regular knife, this is a finer point of manufacture that is desirable. It's not completely necessary, but it is desirable to have that. And what I'm doing now is I'm feeling with my hand when the grind is coming close to sharp, because once I reach that point, I'm going to move away from this type of grinding and move to the standard technique. And I'm going to use the magnification now to look at the bevel. What I'm looking for is an even look to both sides of the bevel. And this side here is just a little bit fatter, so we're going to work a little bit more. And what I'm doing, you see me making this motion, I'll come up to the tip, and then I'm going. The reason I'm doing that is I want to take this, bring it back around and stay on that edge that I'm trying to create, that bevel, and I want to pull the knife back so I hit this part of the heel of the blade. That's why I'm making that motion. It's my way of doing that. Someone else might have a different technique. That's something that you develop over time. Okay, so now I'm starting to feel the beginnings of sharpness on this blade. So what I'm going to do now, let me get rid of that, is I'm going to move to the standard sharpening technique. And I'm going to bring a burr up on this side. The burr is going to come up off the opposite side that's laid on the stone. Once again, I've got support here. This also helps me feel that edge a whole lot better if I have both hands on it. But I'm still not using, there's a burr, there's a burr, there's not. I still am not using any pressure. I'm not using any pressure whatsoever. Alright. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but we have a nice, even, consistent bevel on both sides of this blade, and I have a burr that I created on one side and flip back over to the other. That is the way you repair this knife. A knife like that. That's a tool in your toolbox now. You know and understand how to do it. I will follow later with a sharpening video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.